Hello everyone and welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we're going to be taking a look at a knife from one of my favourite custom makers here in the UK, and that is Ashley Harrison. Now Ashley is one of the sort of lead makers with Arthur Wright and Son, so his family now own that, so his father Michael purchased it, and Ashley is one of the main makers, and they've recently had an intern called Beth who was making some of their knives as well, which is fantastic to see a new cutler coming through. But we're going to take a bit look at one of his customs. Now, he dropped this on Instagram a couple of days ago, the end of last week, I would believe it was. And this is a Spearpoint Barlow. That's his take on a Spearpoint Barlow. And honestly, it's absolutely superb. He does some fantastic work. So if you're able to pick these up, he does custom work for people. You can message him on Instagram and place an order with him. Just give him some time to respond, because you can imagine there's not many people making Arthur Wright and Sons in that factory at the moment now, and he's pretty much flat out all the time. But if you drop him a message on his Instagram page, he will reply to you and you can place an order. Now, it takes a couple of weeks to get things put through, but honestly, these are definitely worth the wait. So as I mentioned, this is a Barlow. So this is, let's have a look at the measurements. So bolster to the very end, we are looking at 3.75 inches closed, which is right in that Goldilocks zone that I love. 3.5 to 3.75 inches is honestly the perfect size for me. Sort of almost hides in the hand. If it was 3.5, that bit would be gone. For a pocket knife, especially a UK legal pocket knife, this is by far the best size for it. Now, this one comes with Koa wood, and look at the grain on this thing. It moves in the light as well. You can see the light catching that there. We've got nickel silver pins holding this together, which are, brass pins holding this together, my mistake. And they are wonderfully smooth. You cannot feel a thing on this. The transition is smooth to the nickel silver bolsters, plain with a nice pinch at the end, and they're sort of squared off with the pinch being rounded. On the reverse, that wonderful grain follows all the way through with those wonderfully smooth pins. And the wood on this, it's done so well. A lot of wood on knives, excuse me, you can feel the grain, like the roughness of the grain. This is done so smooth. Honestly, it could be smooth bone the way you feel across it. But look at the grain on that. Isn't that beautiful? Peened perfectly, polished over and smoothed out, so it's wonderfully smooth. Both stories on the front side maybe being a little darker than the pile side, but both sides equally as beautiful. And you probably would have caught a glimpse of it then, the file work on the back spring, all the way round to where it terminates, all the way up to the very top here where the tang will meet the spring. And you can see from the bolster down we have milled liners as well. Quite hard to make out on the camera, but you can just about see the lines going through them all the way down the back of the knife. And this thing is absolutely flawless. Blade centering a tad off to the show side, but there's honestly nothing to complain about. It's wonderful. 01 tool steel then for Ashley's customs. Now, he can make you knives in other steels if you ask him. I had one made in 1095. He can source D2. 01 is his sort of standard go-to though for this. So let's take a look at the blade, and it's a proper gentleman's spear blade on this. Listen to the snap on that. That's right at about a 7.5 to an 8 pull, which is perfect for sort of a gentleman's Barlow. A nice elongated bolster, sort of designating it to being a Barlow. And we also have Ashley's maker mark on there, which is A and S with a W behind for Arthur Wright and Sons. And then nothing on the reverse of that either. So that wonderful spear blade, very light swedging at the top, just enough to sort of take off the squareness of the blade on the back of the tang. You can see it starts right before the nail nick and works its way all the way down to the tip. Wonderfully sharp. Ashley is superb at sharpening his knives. The only thing I will say, a little tiny bit heavy down here, but that's very, very minor. And honestly, his customs are such a fair price as well. I paid, I believe it was $140 for this knife. And I think for a handmade knife in Sheffield is absolutely superb. Take a look at the blade length on this, and of course it's going to be UK legal being a Barlow. We've got 2.8 inches on the full blade length. And then we have right about 2.5 inches on the cutting length. So I'm going to have no issues with this being UK legal at all. And this is going to be one that I am going to carry, and I am going to use. All of my Ashleys I like to carry, more so that they're just absolute works of art. But they are a tool at the end of the day, so I haven't got any problem, especially with the wood. A little bit harder wearing than some of the bone, so bone, drop it might shatter. Wood, yeah, it may crack, but there's less chance of it doing so with it being wood. But look at this thing here. I've picked up a couple of customs from Ashley recently. I've got a few here we can sort of do some comparisons over. So here's my first one, and this was a Barlow I had made for myself and Thrifty Kniffy. Now it originally was in wood, and unfortunately the wood shrunk a little bit and did sort of crack around a bolster, so I had them both recovered. I had mine done in natural bone and John's done in blue burl wood. You can see that on his channel. I had an easy open notch put into these as well with a half stop, and this is a nice fat spear. And again, this is 01 tool steel. Went for a working knife, so I didn't have anything fancy on this one. Just went for plain back spring, brass, bone, and this thing is fantastic. You sort of ring finger fits perfectly in that sort of easy open cutout, and it honestly, it's superb. Action is great on this one. I also had the Brit Buster, so the British version of the Sod Buster, which was Ashley Harrison's own sort of variation on the Sod Buster. Had one of those made up with Mikey and John at Thrifty Kniffy. You can see mine has seen a lot of use. It's very dirty. This is primarily one of my user knives. So this is red micarta, looks a bit more burgundy with use. Brass liners, this is in 01 tool steel. And you can see he's giving it like a nice fat clip blade. And this, for as a working knife, if you can get Ashley to make you one of these, I know Will's got one, go and get one, absolutely fantastic. And then my final one here, I did move on a couple recently, so some other people could enjoy them. They're ones I weren't using very much. And this, I believe, I'm not entirely sure what the wood is, because I got this one on the secondary market from Congi's knife sales, but it's very dark. It could be walnut, it could be multiple things, could be rosewood, I'm not entirely sure. But look at the file work on this thing. And this will be just a jackknife because it's got a small bolster on there. But if we compare that to the Barlow, I'm pretty sure they're identical size, yeah, with it only being the bolster which designates it to one to be a Barlow and one to be a jack. Love Ashley Harrison's knife. He's definitely my favourite British custom maker. He does some fantastic work. You can see most of these I have used. There's some patina on this one, patina on that one, and this has had the most uses. It's just a superb knife. The action on this is phenomenal. Honestly, fantastic. So we have a couple of Ashley Harrisons here. I hope you enjoyed this review. It was mainly of the Ashley Harrison custom Barlow in the Koa wood. Really hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Old-timers watch with a knowing eye. Young bloods learn it, sharpening their pride. Slipjoint Sawyer echoes through the crowd. His voice speaks loud, blades singing proud. Slipjoint Sawyer riding through the night. Pocket knives gleam under flickering light. Man's got the touch, man turning steel to gold. Every story cut deep, every piece sold.